Epilogue. 12 years later. Fred pushed open the door to the Ritz and strolled towards the tea room as fast as he could go without running. He ignored the excited whispers from a crowd of boys following him across the foyer. Max jumped up when he saw Fred coming and knocked over the sugar bowl. He was tall now, as tall as Fred, and his face no longer had its baby roundness, but his eyebrows still pointed upwards at the ends. "You came! We thought you might still be on an expedition." He embraced Fred, crushing him hard around the arms. "Fred!" Leela had grown beautiful, so beautiful that Fred always hesitated each time they met, feeling oddly embarrassed until she grinned at him. Her wonky tooth, slightly wonkier now, was still there. She gave him a bear hug. "How was your trip? You've been in all the papers. A new kind of explorer, they say." Before he could answer, a voice came from behind them. "You all look so smart," it said. "You should have told me. I would have worn my ruffles." "Con," said Max. At first glance, Con looked very like she had done that morning at the airfield, still with a jutting jaw, still at right angles to herself, but the blonde curls had gone, as was the expression of distrust. She wore her hair in a bob, high-waisted trousers, and a felt hat that looked just like a pith helmet. The hat had in fact been a present from Fred the year before. Fred's father still called the upstairs spare bedroom Con's room. A waitress approached with an armful of menus. "Thank you," said Con, "but we've decided what to have a long time ago." "Could we have one of every cake on the menu?" asked Fred. "And 4 hot chocolates," said Max. He grinned. "In honor of the grub pancakes." As soon as the waitress had gone, Leela reached under the table. "I brought someone to celebrate with us. He's very, very old. The waitress might not like it, though. Can you make a barrier from your coats?" She lifted a bundle of grey fur from the wicker basket by her side. Very, very slowly it opened its eyes. "Backer," said Fred. "He's grown so enormous," said Con. "He's a very respectable old man these days," said Leela. "But he used to be such a terror." "A very slow-motion terror," said Max. "He kept trying to eat the covers of my biology textbooks." They passed Backer from hand to hand. His fur was less fluffy and he moved creakily, but his eyes were shining black and his nose was still inquisitive. He raised one slow arm and scooped a lump of brown sugar towards him. Then Fred held out his hand, palm up. It was very faint now, the mark, but you could still see it. "Still a secret?" Lila held out her hand. "Still a secret." Max spread his hand on the tablecloth. "Of course." "Always," said Con. Fred looked down at their 4 upturned palms. His own was still covered in burns and blisters from his last expedition. Lila's speckled with animal scratches, Con's stained with ink. Max broke the silence. "Do you think he's still there?" "I don't know," said Fred, "but I'll soon find out. I'm going back to the Amazon as soon as the rains are over. I'm going to find out again." "But not to take anyone else to see it," said Con. "No," said Fred, "of course not. Just to say we survived. Just to say we kept exploring."